My name is Margaret Turner, but most people in my town call me Maggie. I am 78 years old, and I have lived in this small town for almost my entire life. My house is small and quiet, standing on a narrow street not far from the city park. The house is old, but it is full of memories from many years. My life is simple now. I wake up early in the morning, make a cup of tea, and sit by the window while the town slowly wakes up. Sometimes I read old books, and sometimes I look through photo albums that I have kept for decades. The pictures are old, but the memories are still clear. Most days are very quiet. I do not have children, and I have no close family nearby. But every spring, when the air becomes warmer and the trees begin to bloom, I take a slow walk to the park. In the middle of the park, there is an old wooden bench under a large cherry blossom tree. Every spring the sakura flowers bloom there, covering the branches with soft pink petals. I have been coming to that bench every spring for many years. People often see me sitting there and think I am simply enjoying the warm sun and the fresh air. But the truth is different. I am not just sitting there. I am waiting for someone. Every spring I return to the same place. The walk to the park is slow now, but I know every street along the way. When I arrive, I sit on the old wooden bench under the cherry blossom tree and watch the pink petals fall softly to the ground. People pass by every day. Children play, young couples walk together, and sometimes someone smiles at me politely. To them, I'm just an old woman enjoying the warm spring sun. But they do not know the real reason I come here. Many years ago, during the war, I had a best friend named Erin. We shared many conversations and dreams about the future. Our friendship meant a lot to me in those difficult days. One day, we had to say goodbye. Before he left, we sat together on this same bench under the cherry blossom tree. Erin looked at me and made a promise. He said, "One day, when the war is over, I will come back here. Wait for me on this bench in the spring." Since that day, every spring, I return to this place. And every spring, I wait for him. One spring afternoon, I came to the park as usual. The cherry blossom tree was already covered with soft pink flowers, and the air smelled fresh and warm. I sat on the bench and watched the petals falling slowly around me. People passed by, children laughed, and the sun began to move lower in the sky. Usually I stay for a short time, but that day I sat there much longer than usual. The park slowly became quieter. Many people had already gone home. Then I heard footsteps near the bench. I looked up and saw a young man standing in front of me. He looked a little nervous. "Excuse me," he said softly. "Are you Margaret?" I felt surprised. Not many people know my name. "Yes," I answered slowly. The young man reached into his bag and carefully took out an old envelope. "My name is Daniel," he said. "I think this letter belongs to you." And then he placed the envelope in my hands. On the front of the envelope, written in old familiar handwriting, was one name: Erin. I held the envelope in my hands and looked at the young man. My heart was beating faster. "Erin?" I asked quietly. The young man nodded. "Yes," he said. "Erin was my father." For a moment, I could not speak. The name felt like a memory from another life. He sat down on the bench beside me and began to explain. His father had been injured many years ago during the war. After that, he could not walk and could barely speak. "But he never forgot you," the young man said. "He told me that his father kept an old photo album." Inside it was a photograph of a young woman sitting under a cherry blossom tree. Under that photo, there was a small letter. When my father died, the young man said, "I found the letter. He asked me to find you and give it to you." So he searched for the park, the bench, and finally, he found me. My hands were shaking as I slowly opened the envelope. The paper inside was old and a little yellow. I recognized the handwriting immediately. It was Aaron's. In the letter, he wrote that he had never forgotten our promise. After the war, his life changed completely. Because of his injuries, he could not travel or walk again. But he often thought about the bench in the park and the cherry blossom tree. He wrote that every spring he imagined me sitting there, waiting. He wanted to return, but he could not. At the end of the letter, he wrote one last sentence. He hoped that one day the letter would reach me and that I would know he never forgot our friendship. I finished reading the letter and sat quietly for a long time. The park was almost empty now. The pink petals from the cherry blossom tree were slowly falling around the bench. For many years I had waited for Aaron, always hoping that one spring he would finally return. Now I understood why he never came. It was a sad truth, but at the same time something inside my heart felt peaceful. The young man sat beside me and listened while I told him stories about his father. I told him about the long walks we had taken, the conversations we shared, and the promise we made under the cherry blossom tree. For the first time in many years, I did not feel like I was waiting anymore. I felt like the story had finally found its ending. After that day, my life slowly began to change. I still visited the bench in the park every spring, just like I had done for many years. The cherry blossom tree still bloomed every year, and the soft pink petals continued to fall gently around the bench. But now, I was not alone anymore. The young man began visiting me often. Sometimes he came to the park just to talk. Sometimes he brought coffee or small pastries from a bakery near his house. We would sit on the bench for a long time, watching people walk through the park. He liked hearing stories about his father when he was young. I told him about the long conversations we once had, the dreams we shared, and the promise we made under the cherry blossom tree so many years ago. The young man listened carefully every time. Sometimes he asked questions about his father's life before the war. Sometimes he simply smiled and looked at the tree above us. Slowly, the park became a happy place again. Now, every spring, we meet at the same bench. The cherry blossom tree still stands above us, just like it did many years ago.